Welcome back in, everybody. It is Ash Talk. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It is great to have you here with us. We are back. We are healthy. Still cold.
Yes.
But now Hayden just bought a heater, so now we're in a heated garage, so we're not bundled up.
Yeah.
So that feels a lot better. So things are back to normal a little bit. We're back to normal and feeling good. We got cigars in our hand. We already lit them up. We got a lot coming for you on the show today. We're going to get into, and just to let you know, me and Hayden got into it about Alabama. So we're going to be talking about Alabama and their college football playoff rankings in a little bit. We're going to have your pigskin prognosis with picks against the spread. We're going to have your ticket to the banks. But first, I'm so happy I get to say this. Hayden, what are you smoking today?
I'm smoking a My Father,
Not a Gurkha.
the Judge.
Just the Judge. Ooh.
So, not a Gurkha. Yeah, this is something that you guys could journal about. Hayden is not smoking a Gurkha. No, I was sitting.
Let me go outside and just check if the world has ended.
I know. Might not be a bad thing. We're stuck. That suck. Like, the world has ended, but you and I somehow made it.
Yeah. If we're still cranking out podcasts, the world hasn't ended yet. But
Right.
maybe when it does, all go up in smoke, we'll be here smoking with you.
That's it. Or with anybody out there that's survived. So spoken to My Father, the Judge, picked it up in a really cool cigar lounge in Tampa, Florida, a week and a half, 2
Very
weeks
nice.
ago. Man, shout out Tampa. Tampa, if you're ever in the Tampa area, they've got like cigar.
Do you remember the cigar store that you got it from?
I don't off the top of my. No, I don't. I don't
Okay.
have their card on them, but they're just unbelievable. I shouted them out when I was there and kind of filmed the inside of the
Okay.
lounge. But nonetheless, there's something like going to a lounge, sitting down, having a old glass of whiskey, smoking a cigar,
Slow down.
just relax.
Yes.
We definitely need a lounge around here. We gotta figure it out. But yeah, and Tampa is like the capital of cigars in the country. I mean, there is so many cigar warehouses and shops and lounges and all of that. So shout out to Tampa, but My Father the Judge, really, really good cigar. I'm really excited to get
Have you
into
smoked
it.
that before?
I've not had the Judge.
Okay, I have smoked that before. You're in for a treat. That's a very good, solid cigar, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's fantastic right now.
Good.
So, we'll get there. We'll get there to a solid rating at the end. There'll probably be not a whole number. I'm not a whole number kind of guy.
You know what? That's fine.
You know what I mean?
I've given up on that. I tried to tell
Fair.
Hayden, hey, let's just stay on whole numbers, and he's just like, you know what?
If it has,
You know what?
a
Fine,
quarter
whatever.
or whatever, you know what I mean? You got to give him the love, man. So I'm all about, grace, extending it.
My OCD kicks in. I'm all about consistency, good round numbers, all that stuff.
That's fair. Good for you. What are you smoking over there, shooter?
Well, I talked about it last week. I am smoking a Padron 1964.
There you go.
I've had this cigar before. For me, I'm not like when with Padron, like kind of some of the lower end, like the 7,000, 8,000, range, I'm not a big fan of. But once you get into the upper echelon of Padrones, that's when they really start to shine. The 1926 that I had a couple weeks ago gave that a 5 out of 5. This is a little bit of a step down. This is a 1964. Still a really good cigar. I have smoked this before.
Can you explain to our viewers, and maybe you don't know, what does the number mean, 1964? Is it 64 years old?
I'm not sure. No, it has nothing to do with aging. It's just their line, right? So like the 1960 26, that's like their tobacco blend line.
Okay.
And what they're going to use. Now they might use a different wrapper, they might use a natural wrapper, they might use a different wrapper.
Yep.
Sometimes it'll be different sizes, which will reflect which will affect the price, because if you get a really small 1926, that might be half the cost of a big 1926.
Yep.
Just because the smoke's going to be a lot longer, you're going to be able to enjoy it longer. But the 1964 is really good. I've had this before. Good quality cigar. Not a super big. I think this is either a Robusto. It's kind of in the. I don't think it's a Robusto, but it's like in that Robusto size. So, good. I mean, we cut before we cut and lit before we were just so excited to get going.
Yep.
That we cut and lit before we went live. before we started recording it, and it's just a quality cigar. It's when you pick up a Padron 1964 or a 1926, whatever you get,
You're in for a treat.
the quality is going to be there. You might not like the blend. You might not like the fullness of it. You might not, but from the cut to the light, the quality control from those lines of cigars from Padron is always there. Always there. So yeah, I'm excited to keep smoking this. It's
Puffing it away, huh?
puffing it away.
Fantastic.
And good solid even burn. Doing a V cut today.
Dude, you
as
beat
well.
cut. I went straight today, so
Nice.
I've been going straight a lot recently. So well, that sounds.
You on the
you know,
straight and narrow.
I'm trying to stay on the straight and narrow. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So
So yeah, let's get into some sports. We had an emergency podcast with Ohio State and Michigan.
very important.
I'm sure you're still
reeling.
I mean, how big of a bender did you go on after Michigan beat Ohio State last week?
Bro, it was just one of the most sweetest victories.
You're just all smiles. You're like, hey, can we record?
Oh,
I wonder why.
how he has to. And and I was talking to my dad earlier today. The game was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It was so horrible. Nothing happened. It was Like the only thing that made that game awesome was the Big Blue win.
Yeah.
It was a horrible game.
Both teams were just like literally sabotaging themselves.
Yep. Just horrible. I mean, it's a horrible game. No
Yeah.
big stats, no big plays, no,
It was a grinded out game.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
So college football playoff rankings come out. It is championship week this week.
It is.
So all the conference championships are happening this weekend. The big news from this week, and this is what me and Hayden disagree on, and so we're going to talk about this. Alabama is currently ranked 11th, and in the college football playoff at 9-3. Hayden, what are your thoughts? Because whatever you argue, I'm about to dismantle it here in a moment.
I think, here's my thing. I don't like to drink the Bama Kool-Aid. Not a fan of Bama. Actually, I never have been a fan of Bama. I don't like how ESPN, we were talking about this before our shoot here. They highly favor Bama and have for the last 10, 12 years, which makes sense. Bama has rightfully been a cream of the crop,
Right.
rise to the top type of team.
Right.
And so I don't like it now because it feels like the love and the zeal is still there for Bama. However, here's kind of where I am. I think I will say this. I'm going to put an umbrella statement out there. I still think the college football playoff system and ratings and rankings is still broken.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you're going to officially fix it. I think we were kind of talking about just have the SEC and the Big Ten, and you have two conferences and you battle it out that way versus all these conferences, because you do look at strength of schedule. I think that has to play a part in determining who goes and who.
But it's also a part of the problem, because if you have a problem with the actual college football rankings, then the strength of schedule has to be given with a grain of salt, because the strength that you're supposedly drawing from these teams in actual ranked teams is coming from the same people that highly favor Bama. That's the problem I have. For me, the way I look at it, this is just 30,000 foot view, is that when ESPN bought the SEC for $3 billion back in early 2021, and then the TCU game happened with Georgia.
Yep.
And I think the committee was like, we are never going to let that happen again.
Yeah.
We are never going to let a 60-7 type game happen again. To be honest,
I appreciate
we
that.
got robbed of a Georgia-Michigan national championship in that season because Georgia demolished in their first game. Michigan should have beaten TCU, and they blew it.
Yep.
So we didn't get that.
Yep.
Then you go to the following season, and Bama gets in above Florida State. That was the big thing. Florida State goes undefeated, wins their championship game, and you still put Bama in.
Yep.
I was more surprised that they took Georgia out last year, because Georgia had not lost a game in 2 seasons.
Yep.
They lose their championship game by 1 possession, and then they move them down to 5. But they moved them down to 5 to be able to get Texas and Bama in because you couldn't put Bama
Right.
without putting Texas in.
Right.
So that
That was so money.
that was the whole money.
Yeah.
And then you had an undefeated Florida State.
Yeah.
Based on the games, I can see why they did that. I mean, we turned out to get good games and stuff like that.
Yep.
But this is the reason why, is because this college football playoff committee is a bunch of these Southern boy in their quarter zip and their freaking SEC visor that think their crap don't stink and SEC is the only way to play football. And there's some truth to that, but it goes to a level of arrogance that now we're seeing with Alabama. And so many people say, well, you're just a Bama hater. You're just a Bama hater. You're just a Bama hater. No, I've been to Tuscaloosa. I know a lot of Alabama fans. It's a great program, a lot of history. Bear Bryant is a legendary figure. And if
Yep.
you know any Alabama history, it's an amazing program. The reason people hate Bama is that when you take them and put them above a Miami to sneak them into the playoff for the 2nd year in a row, that's when people get frustrated and mad and pissed off, me included, that they shouldn't even be in that game. And so now I look at it as, okay, if the SEC is going to be put at that type of level, I'm rooting for Notre Dame. I hope Ohio State crushes everybody. I hope anybody out of conference from the SEC wins.
Yeah.
And I'm an Auburn guy. I like Auburn,
Yep.
but it just makes no sense to me why you would put Bama in, other than the committee needs the ratings to help promote and get the ad revenue from the TV broadcasts to pay for their $3 billion purchase. And so now it's no longer about who's got the better record or who's done the greatest body of work. It's all about my ratings to help ESPN. And I'm telling you, that really sucks. Let's not try to act like Alabama deserves to be in this college football playoff. Let's just call it for what it is. They are the Crimson Tide, and we need the ad revenue to be able to justify our purchase of the SEC, and that's why we're putting them in. Stop hiding behind how somehow this Crimson Tide team deserves to be in the playoff. That's my frustration.
I think it's hard because as a football fan, I want to see the best teams play. And when I look at Miami defensively, they're deplorable. So bad. Lots of points scored on them, a lot of yards played on them. They played nobody all year, lost to 2 500 teams their last 2 games. I don't think they deserve, based on strength of schedule, and yeah, that's the conversation. That's the argument. They play nobody, and then they lose to nobody. Nobody teams. You put Alabama against Miami, Alabama wins by 2 touchdowns.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care what you think is going to happen. Why he play it on the games? If that's the case, then put the teams that the college football playoff committee thinks are the best teams at the start of the season, and then just let them play the games, and whatever happens, happens. Because you saying that we want the best teams, then Georgia would have been in the college football playoff last year, and they weren't. And guess what? They should have been, but guess what? They put Texas in,
Yep.
and they got destroyed by Washington. So the idea of, oh, well, we're going to try to just put the best teams in, that doesn't happen. Because if you really think that when people say that, what they're really talking about is we want the top teams from the SEC and the Big Ten. And the truth be told, you never know what's going to happen. That's why March Madness is so crazy. Does a 15 beat a 2 all the time? In March Madness, a 15 seed beat a 2? No, the 2 seed beats them probably 80 or 90% of the time. But that doesn't mean a 15 seed team can't make a run to the Sweet 16. I mean, we've seen it before. So it's the opportunity to play. And Miami deserves the right to play because they played the people in their conference. They lost 2 games. 2 games, by the way, on the road by 1 score or by a touchdown or less. So it's not like they got blown out. Yes, they don't have a massive SEC win on their schedule, but they beat Duke, they beat Louisville. Those are both 9-win teams. You don't get to choose who you beat in your conference. And people saying that Alabama has the better wins, well, they beat South Carolina and Georgia. And Georgia, if they lose to Texas this week, both of them will be 3-loss teams. So you can't justify Alabama being in when they lost to two 500 record teams in Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. You can't. Now, if they were the same record, if Alabama and Miami were the same record, if they were both 10-2, yeah, put Bama in. They had a harder way to get there, but you can't lose 25% of your games and be in the college football playoff because we're Bama and we're bringing in ratings. So I hope they go to Notre Dame, South Bend, and freeze their ass off. And that's 20 million below zero, and because I'm already seeing articles right now from Alabama saying, well, they're built to win up north. Yeah, look how about time you come up north to play both games. Look how Miami played against the Green Bay Packers on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Let's see how that goes. Sorry, I interrupted you. I'm so fired up about Bama.
So you're strictly record. Record is everything.
No, but you can't listen. If they were the same, I can see how you can compare apples to apples. You can't go against Oklahoma, who's a 500 ranked team, a 500 team, and lose by 3 touchdowns, and 2 weeks later you're in the college football playoff. That makes no sense.
So let me ask you this. So say Miami lost 1 game this year, right, to Georgia Tech, and Bama loses 2 games. But Bama's schedule is more impressive and their wins are more impressive. Does Bama sit out and Miami goes in?
Well, who did they lose to, and how did they lose? That's my biggest thing. If their losses are against
Say they lose to Tennessee by 9.
Lost to Tennessee by 9. Okay, we can have that discussion. That's more plausible. Again, I'm not saying I'm not strictly record. What I'm saying is that their losses, Alabama's losses, not only are they more than Miami's, they're more glaring and deficient than who Miami didn't beat. That's my take. And to put them in is a crime because you have Ole Miss and South Carolina, who are both the same record too. I can still see
Bama beat both of those teams.
They did not play. Ole Miss and Alabama, I don't think, didn't play this year.
They did? I
No.
think they did.
I don't think they played. You'll have to check the schedule, but
Okay.
I don't think they. I don't believe they played. But my point still remains that there is no reason when you lose by three touchdowns against Oklahoma 2 weeks prior, and then you beat a terrible Auburn team by 2 touchdowns.
But that was the Iron Bowl.
It was the Iron Bowl. Okay, I won't even go down that road. You can't do that and have 3. Notice they're the only 3-loss team in the playoff.
But I think the fans, college football, have to understand you will always, moving forward, have a 3-loss team. This is what happens when you expand a playoff and you start loading up conferences. People are going to lose.
The disrespect for the ACC is mind-numbingly.
Do you understand?
It's embarrassing.
But do you understand why people don't appreciate what the ACC teams do when you line them up against the Big Ten and the SEC? Do you not saying rankings, not saying they're beating everybody in their conference, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. I agree.
No, but I mean, you can have a national champion from the ACC. Clemson did it almost twice. You can have a national championship from the ACC. Let's not. Is the ACC at the same level or stronger than the SEC? No, absolutely not. But don't treat them like they're absolute dog trash when they're pretty much on the same level as the Big 12. That's my point. Is the SEC and the Big 10 the cream of the crop? Yes. But let's not try to act like the ACC is just, they are the redheaded stepchild of these college football playoff rankings when you look at what they did with Florida State and now you look at what they're doing against Miami. It's embarrassing, and I really wish I would be even more okay with it if the ESPN or if the College Football Playoff Committee just came out and said what we all already know, and that is we have Alabama in to boost our ratings. They're already salivating at the thought of a Notre Dame-Alabama first-round game because now they'll have, I mean, ratings are up, right? Ratings are up. So they're salivating at that opportunity to boost the ad revenue based on the viewership with a Notre Dame Alabama game. It's to the point where it's so glaringly unfair.
But I think you're confusing.
But
You're talking about the network of ESPN. We're talking about the College Football Playoff Committee.
Yeah, but they're in cahoots with each other because the SEC holds such a dominance, and the ESPN just bought it.
I mean, Wade Mardell's in there. I mean, there's Big Ten representatives in the committee.
Yeah, but it's bought by CBS, and who hosts the College Football Playoff? ESPN. So they
I don't think it has that
I do.
impact as you're saying.
Oh, I do.
No.
I do.
There's already a
if you put in Miami, the five biggest, this depends on the season, so don't take this as gospel. But usually the five biggest teams when it comes to TV ratings, it can change based on the season, but usually the top five: Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Texas, and Alabama. Those are your five. Not in that order. I'm just saying those are the five premier college football programs that will bring in the most viewership. Notre Dame, my God, they have their own network,
right?
Crying out loud,
right?
In NBC. So that has something to do with it to try to sneak in another team. I mean, 8 of the 12 teams are either from the Big Ten or the SEC. And the fact of the matter is that the SEC was not that great this year. And is it because there's just a bunch of really good teams in there and they just beat up on each other?
Yes.
Possibly. But you can't just put a 3-loss team in the playoff. You can't lose 25% of your games and be justified as a college football playoff winner. And that's why, for that reason that I just said, I will not, if Alabama gets in, I will not watch the college football playoff.
What would you do if
until Alabama's out?
If it wasn't Alabama, say it was South Carolina, are you gonna be just as upset? Oh, see, this is the problem.
No,
Alabama bias.
No.
On top of that,
but no, because I would be upset because they're a 3-loss team. Yes, I would be upset, but they would never do that because it's always Alabama. Why? Because the TV ratings they bring in are second to none. That's why they're above Ole Miss and South Carolina. That's why they're gonna show a little ankle and sneak them in over Miami. And it's always because it's Bama, because of the TV ratings and the clear favoritism. And I can't get over that. Now, going to championship Saturday, going past Alabama, what do you do if Georgia wins? Or I'm sorry, if Texas wins the SEC championship and Clemson wins their ACC championship, now what do you do?
Georgia drops for me.
Out of the playoffs?
They drop out of the playoffs.
Really?
Yeah, they drop. They drop for me. And then you just slide your Miami in, and then you're fine.
I wouldn't do that, though. They won't do that.
Probably not.
They will put 4 SEC teams in. And the committee has already kind of come out and said that we're not going to make drastic changes to the bracket from the championship.
But see, then why? This is my problem though. Why do we play the championship games then? If they're not going to have any impact or very little impact on the selection.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a player, I'm a coach. I'm doing my own program. We're good. They can have the win.
Think of SMU though, because right now they have a first-round bye. They go to Clemson and lose.
I don't know, man. SMU's for real.
I know, but what I'm saying is the playoff is kind of, the committee is kind of crapping bricks, because if Clemson goes in and beats SMU, now you have an 11-2 team that didn't win their championship game.
Yep.
Going on the road in the first week, and then do you put Clemson in as your first round? You know?
Yeah, you'd have to, right?
I don't know.
I think Miami, if Georgia loses, which there's a good chance they will, I would take them out. Because that'll be their 3rd loss.
Right. And they didn't beat Bama.
So, and Georgia's out.
but my thing is that look at Miami then, because if and my challenge to that is I would leave Georgia in because
It's a
they
very lost team.
yeah, but they beat Texas. Alabama
beat Georgia.
yeah, but
So why would Georgia get in over Alabama?
strength of schedule,
Alabama has a stronger schedule than Georgia does.
not on wins.
Nonetheless, Georgia loses, they're out. I would.
I wouldn't be mad at that. Like if Georgia was out, I wouldn't be mad at that. But now, think about it. Alabama gets a reward for not playing in the championship game. That's why the committee's coming out and saying we're not going to make any drastic changes.
That's the way it goes.
So I'm saying if the bracket stays relatively the same, what do you do with Clemson? They're the 17th ranked team and number 3. They go and win the ACC championship and just beat SMU, which is the 8th ranked team. Well, if better win than that,
Strength of schedule. Then you're gonna have to.
but then you have Clemson, who's 10-3, not 9-3, the ACC champion, and they beat SMU. They have a better, and if Georgia loses, they have a better win than Alabama.
Them you get dropped if they lose.
You can't punish that team. You can't punish that team to be out of the college football playoff by losing your championship game. I don't think.
I don't think so. But
To the point where you drop below people that didn't even play in that game.
Yeah.
In your conference.
yeah,
That's my
it's a
but
muddy.
my point is that this goes exactly back to Miami. Because SMU and Clemson, you have one ACC team. You have one ACC team.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And
You have a 10-2 Miami team that has been very good or at the top. I mean, think about it. 2 weeks ago, Miami was the number 2 seed
Yeah.
with a bye. And they lose one game against a ranked team by less than 7 points, and we kick you out to shove in a 3-loss Alabama. Screw you.
Yeah. I think, and I just go back and forth, like, and the playoff's a playoff, but like, if you just, if your top teams and to determine who's going to be a winner, I think it'd be great to have like a Big Ten playoff, SEC playoff, the winners advance. Like the winner of the Big Ten, the winner of the SEC, the winner of the Big 12, the winner of the ACC, the winner of the Pac-10.
I mean, take your
top winners.
take
Get it
your
done.
take your 5 power conferences. And you got to take the Pac-12 out, but your 4 big conferences. Big 12, Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10, SEC, and ACC. Take those 4 and take the top 2 teams from each conference. If you go to your championship game and lose, you don't go to the college football playoff. Make it that simple. If you lose and you're still above somebody in your conference or tied in your conference, then the committee can step in and the committee can fill in the last 2 spots. But the fact that we're going to have 8 SEC Big 10 teams out of the 12, plus Notre Dame, who doesn't have a conference, so that's 9 of the 12, and you're going to put 1 ACC team in there, and you have a 10-2 Miami who's been really good all season, and their 2 losses were against a Syracuse team who's now ranked by less than a touchdown on the road, and you lost on the road to a Georgia Tech team that just took Georgia to 8 overtimes. So, I mean, it's just, this is why my point is this is why people hate Bama. This is why people hate Bama. It has nothing to do with the culture. It has nothing to do with the team. It has nothing to do with the coach, the players. It has not, for me anyway, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with this clear and obvious favoritism that they get above everybody else.
I would agree. I'm not
including teams in their own conference with Ole Miss and South Carolina.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think,
sorry, I'm on a heater today. Again, I don't mind Bama. It's just when I see stuff like this happen, I can't hold my tongue and pretend that this is okay and just turn a blind eye because, well, they're Bama. That's BS.
Yeah.
And for those to say, well, Bama would, I can't stand when people say, well, Bama would beat them by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. We don't know that. We don't know that.
Miami's gonna get knocked out the first round.
If they make
Right.
if they make it to the first round.
Yeah, and that's, to me, as a fan, it's wrong, but that was a waste. They should have never been there. That would be a waste for me as a fan to watch that game. You know, just like watching TCU and Georgia. That was a waste.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why the committee. That's why the committee. I feel like they have to, because that was the one year they kicked Bama out, and they, in my opinion, did the right thing by putting TCU in. But on the same token, TCU beat Michigan.
right.
So yeah, they got absolutely crushed by Georgia, but that doesn't happen every time.
They gotta build a serious AI where it takes into consideration all of this stuff. So statistics, games, strength of schedule, rankings, all of those things at the end of the year. And hey, we're going by strictly AI, analytics, and it knows all, it takes into consideration rivalries, the big games, all of those things. And whatever it says is like a button you push and it's live. And here goes.
Yeah.
There's the games. No one can cry or whine about it. This is
The computer system.
yeah.
Yeah, they've done that. They've done that before, and still people are always going to cry foul, and I'm okay. I'm okay with the 12-team playoff. I'm okay with Army not getting in, or you know, just like I understand that side of it. But we're talking about the ACC here. We're not talking about the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about a Power 4 conference that has a 10-2 team against a 9-3 team that just got their doors blown off by a 500 Oklahoma team. I'm sorry, but just to put them in, well, a lot of people say, well, you're just scared to play Bama. Not really. I mean, I just hate unfair stuff happening because of the logo and the games not mattering that we follow all season. But because you're from this school, then you get to go in. Like I said, it's this committee that's full of these SEC visor-wearing, quarter-zip losers that think their crap don't stink, that are making these decisions that affect a school like Miami that should be in. And you know what? If we're just trying to get the most jollies off games of what we think is going to happen, then let's just schedule rivalry week, and the winner of rivalry week goes to the playoff then of the top 25 team. I mean, I don't know, like there's such a better way to do this than just leapfrogging an SEC team because you want some ratings and you need to build the ad revenue. But
yeah. And I understand, and I can talk about all of that. But as just a genuine fan and someone who just loves the game, I think I'm more interested in seeing awesome matchups than a championship. You know what I mean? I just want to see some of the crazy, like Tennessee coming to Ohio State. That's gonna be freaking awesome. In the shoe, cold,
and it'd be great to see Alabama. This warm weather, go to South Bend and play in 20-degree weather.
Right?
It would
go to
be
Penn State.
Yeah,
I mean,
or Penn State, or go to Happy Valley.
But just random juggernaut type teams that would never play each other unless they're in this type of situation. Like for me as a fan, like,
and seeing someone like SMU, seeing somebody like
prove it. Just come on, let's go.
But to see them get like a first, like an actual bye too, like then they're hosting a game. I mean, how crazy would it be for a big team like Notre Dame to go to SMU to play for the national, for the winner to go play for the national? It's gonna be fun. Don't get me wrong, but I ain't watching if Alabama's in. I did this last year. I did this last year. I told you when they kicked. I was more upset of Georgia getting ousted than I was at Florida State, but I was still just flat out pissed off that they pumped Alabama in. I told you I wasn't gonna watch.
Yeah.
And you texted me on the Rose Bowl when they were playing Michigan. They were like, hey, it's getting down to the nitty gritty. I turned it on with 2 minutes to go. Michigan beat Alabama. And so I ended up.
Ball never lied.
So I ended up watching the national championship game. But if they put Bama in, I can't stomach watching this college football playoff. Because the same reason they're putting Bama in is the reason that I will not watch. Because they want more eyeballs on
So
screen.
if Bama goes through this and wins the national,
I will not be watching.
would that at all change your thought and opinion on everything? If they go through and just beat every team and they win it all, I don't think it's going to happen. But if they do,
No, because they shouldn't be there in the first place.
but if they go as a team who shouldn't be there
They shouldn't be there.
and beat everybody,
If you don't make the NFL playoffs,
the NFL playoffs or the college playoffs?
either one.
Okay.
If you don't make it and your record's not good enough, you don't make it. And I think that's probably why I'm so.
I understand.
I think that's why
But
I'm
if
so
Bama
record
wins it all,
focused.
even though, quote unquote, they don't belong there, they go through and beat them, would you say, okay, maybe they did belong there?
No. For the same reason that I think Miami has a chance if they get in. They have a chance to get. They have a chance to win. That's why we play the game. But if you're getting there just based on your
They got a chance, bro.
your revenue from ratings, if that's the only reason you're there and you're taking a spot from another deserving team, I ain't gonna watch you.
Fair.
Sorry. So if they get in, I will not watch college football playoff till it's
Done. It's over.
till they're out.
You guys watch college football
Because I'm not gonna contribute to that. I'm not gonna contribute to that absolute BS. And if you think that Bama should be in, couldn't disagree more. But I'm not gonna tune my TV in. You guys can do whatever you want, but I'm not gonna embolden that. And will I make a difference? No. And those people that say, well, you're gonna tune in anyway. No, I really won't. I got a lot of other stuff I can do.
He really.
So
He won't.
anyway,
I mean, you didn't even watch the Michigan-Ohio State game. Not a lot of it.
not a lot of it.
Busy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm busy. There's a lot of other things that I can do. Cry for my Vikings. Prep for that stuff.
You got that.
Anyway,
though.
let's talk about the two big SEC or the two championship games, Texas and Georgia. Who do you like for that game?
I think it's Texas's turn. I think it's time.
Yeah.
I think it's in Austin. I believe. No, it wouldn't be in Austin. It would be in Atlanta, right? That's where they play.
It's either Atlanta or Dallas. One of the.
Yeah, normally it's in Atlanta, but nonetheless, I think I like Texas in this one. I just think they're due. You know what's crazy is they'll play each other. If Georgia goes in, they'll play each other for a third time, most likely. I think that's so crazy and how it's going to just change. Like the Michigan and Ohio State, like they could play each other 3 times. Not this year, obviously, but like some of these big juggernaut teams and all that, and you play, bust heads. And
Oregon and Ohio State could be playing
right?
again.
They could be playing again, and the odds are they potentially will. But I'll tell you this: my take it to the bank. Penn
Let's
State
hear it.
beats Oregon.
Really?
Penn State beats Oregon.
You have been very. You don't like somebody coming in on your turf like Oregon and winning the Big Ten. So I bet
don't like
you.
it.
Are you a big Penn State fan, or do you?
I
just
love
think
Penn State.
I do too.
I think they're a fun team. They've always been I've always.
You want them to get over the hump.
I do.
I know Michigan's out and Ohio State lost.
Yeah.
It's kind of like.
Yeah. I want Penn State to win. And I look at Oregon, there's no doubt that they're unbelievable. I don't think anybody can say they don't belong there or whatever. They are fast. They got a great offense. Their defense is good. However, if you really look at their schedule, they beat a 500 Michigan team. They did beat Ohio State because Ohio State screwed themselves. They should have lost that game. They barely beat Boise. They lost to Boise by like a field goal. Boise could have beat them, which the verdict's out. Maybe Boise's legit. But
they're a lot like SMU, where it's like you don't know. Yeah.
You don't know until
Yeah.
which is why you have the playoff, which is kind of pretty cool. But
That's why you got to let those teams have their chance.
right, Penn State's got an offense, so they've got an incredible defense. But Penn State, I think, can play with Oregon. Maybe not as good high flying like an Ohio State could, but I think that Penn State's going to wow some people.
Yeah.
I really do.
I like the pick. My head tells me to just stick with Oregon.
Right.
My heart tells me to go Penn State.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where
I think Oregon could actually benefit. I mean, it's tough when you win 11 straight games and you're undefeated, and it's hard to keep that pressure mounts, right? So if you lose the Big Ten championship, you're still in the playoff. but that pressure of going undefeated is off.
Would you be a 2 seed still, even if they lose?
I'm not sure how that. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
The seeding works after like champions and stuff like that.
Still only
So you-
one loss team.
So we both. I like Penn State too. It's more of a heart pick.
And that's in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I agree with you too. Texas. I think they're gonna their time. I think they're gonna take care of business against Georgia. And the big thing is we can talk about it next week. But then you have Georgia at 3 losses. How do you figure that out with Alabama and Georgia?
Mhm.
Clemson, SMU. What do you like in that one? Clemson, I mean, when Clemson gets hot, it's like Clemson is a lot like South Carolina, where it's like if they get hot, it's like, look, I do not want to play them.
Right. They're a little they're under the radar team for me. You know what I mean? Like they're not being talked about. ESPN's not hyping them. No one's really hyping them. They aren't the Clemson of old, but they are good.
Mm-hmm.
My head says Clemson's gonna win this. My heart wants SMU.
Yeah.
I want SMU to win. I want them to I would
Leave
love
no
to see
doubt.
them climb.
Leave no doubt.
You come in and you beat Clemson, I think you're gonna have some serious respect, and I think everyone's gonna be like, "Uh-oh,
Right.
maybe this seems."
And you're already at that point. You're already gonna have the first round bye, so
Right.
there's a lot less pressure on SMU than like
another week of practice.
another week of practice. But then, like all the lights are gonna be on you, so you gotta.
And that's bad because if you mess around and you have to play Texas,
Right.
you go and you lose by 60, you're like, "Oh man."
Well, and again, what do you do with that instance? If Clemson beats you, then you move SMU down. How does that work with I have no idea.
It's a mess, dude.
It's a mess. It's
I feel like it's gotten more difficult with a 12-team playoff than a 14.
yeah, when you have to deal with just outright favoritism on a nepotistic level, yeah, and it's really hard. Sorry. I'm so pissed off. And this is why so many people hate Bama. As I've said like 5 times, this is why they hate you. It has nothing to do with your actual team. It has nothing to do with your
Oh, I think it has something to do with their team.
No, I like Jalen.
I hate them.
I like Jalen Miller.
I don't like one thing
Tuscaloosa,
about
their pride and their love for the Crimson Tide. You got to give some respect to it. And having seen it with my own eyes, dude, the checkered plaid, I think it's a cool vibe. It's like you're
Think about this.
it's like you're working for a family-run company. Bro, it's like you're working for a family-run company and the son
This is
of the son of the owner you kind of like and you guys get along with, but then you realize that he gets paid double for the same work we're doing. That's what it's like. I don't watch Bama.
okay. So if Georgia
You like him, but it's like, dude.
So if Georgia loses, right, they get 3 losses. Bama 3 losses. South Carolina 3 losses. Here's what I would want. This is what I'd want. I want to see Bama play Texas. And if Bama wins that, then I'm good with them like really going in and making a run. Because that's the mess. That's what's messing things up.
But there's only so many games.
Right. I know. But like Georgia lost to Bama, but Georgia beat Texas. South Carolina beat Alabama. But they don't have the impressive resume like Georgia.
South Carolina lost to Bama. They lost by 2 points.
I thought they won.
No, Bama. Bama's 2 big wins are South Carolina and Georgia.
And South Carolina,
which
beat
at the
Georgia.
time were really they're actually quality wins.
Right.
But they're both. If Georgia loses, they're both 3-loss teams.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take it just as at eye level, the fact of the matter is Alabama's losses are a heck of a lot more glaring than Miami's lack of wins, which you could argue that like Duke and Louisville when Miami beat them should have been ranked, and why LSU and Missouri, who really shouldn't have been ranked, were propped up when Alabama played them and beat them. I'm just saying that's why you can't take so
But
much.
LSU and Missouri kind of fell off a little bit. They were
they
were
did.
like
They did.
real.
For us
Wow.
for a second until but like it's like they had to keep them in the 20s.
Yeah.
That 19 to 25 range to make Bama's wins seem more. But Duke and Louisville were actually pretty good when they played them, when Miami played them too, and they weren't ranked. That's why it's like the strength of wins is like, yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
And that's why I put more value on having 3 losses compared to 2, because a lot of those rankings are just what people think going into the weekend, not how good your team actually is. And Miami doesn't get to choose
But
their
you can look at
conference.
strength
Their
of
conference.
schedule, though. You can look at the wins. I mean, you can look at the analytics. There's more than just, I think they're a better team. I mean, there is.
But it's why win-loss means more to me in a Power 5 conference than a strength of schedule or a strength of wins.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is dude, you lost to 2 500 win teams. You lost 25% of your games. And this wasn't like, and again, this wasn't like,
Miami losing it
this wasn't like early in the season, like, like they lost, to Oklahoma or something. When they lost to Oklahoma, it wasn't early in the season. This was 2 weeks ago. And they lost by 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
3. Yeah. I don't understand. I don't understand. I mean, I understand this, but it's just, it's a joke. It's a joke. I mean, you do that by, I don't know. I don't know.
You know what I think I would appreciate? I think you would too. I think the college football world would appreciate if they can come up with, this is how we grade and determine the playoffs. If they come out with, these are the measurements that we will go by and cannot go away from.
Yeah, and they're
everyone
coming out
now
and saying like data points or something like that.
will show it.
I don't know but again, if you put your value on ranked teams, and the people that are ranking teams have a SEC bias, then you're screwed either way.
But you'll be screwed if you have bunch of ACC guys in there. They're gonna want to.
I agree, but that's why you
I think
that's why you have to have pretty good representation from each of those 4 conferences, and having one ACC team in there and 4 SEC teams, one of them having 3 losses, coming off a 21-3 drubbing by a 6-6 Oklahoma team, is a bad look.
You're still not talking a lot about Miami's 2 big losses. Bad. I mean,
I did. I talked about them.
Yeah, bad.
You lost by
season.
1 possession.
Lost in the end of the year.
You lost by 1 possession, which you can't say for Alabama because they got beat by
End of the
Oklahoma.
year, lost to 2 junk.
You lost it. Yeah, but you lost it. You didn't lose to 2 junk teams.
Lost to 2 600 teams.
They're not 600. Syracuse is ranked, and Georgia Tech just took Georgia to 8 overtimes. And they're in, I think, 7-5.
That's a rivalry.
So what?
No, it definitely means something. We watched the Michigan-Ohio State game.
Their losses are worse than Miami's losses, and they have 1 more than them.
All right. Miami's going to get shellacked the first time
they won't get in. They'll put Alabama in for the ratings, and that's what they're doing. That's what they will do. And for that instance, I will not watch.
Georgia
I hope
loses,
Notre Dame literally. I hope Alabama gets so cold they get their shoulder pads stick to their bodies.
Can't take their helmets off.
I shouldn't say that. I take that back. That's wrong to say. Again, like I said, nothing against the team.
Aggressive. He's aggressive.
Like I said, it's like seeing the teacher's pet or working for a family business and seeing the owner's son, who you get along with, work with great, cool guy. You like each other, you respect each other, and then you realize that he's getting double the salary for what you're getting paid. That's what it's like to watch Alabama. It's like, yeah, he's a good guy, I like him, but this is BS. That's what it feels like watching this committee.
That's fair.
Mess all over themselves.
Yeah, they're gonna have.
Let's go to NFL because I'm just like can't even stomach this.
What do you got?
You're so unbothered because you got the big maize and blue.
Oh, I got that. I got that dub, man. That made my life.
Yeah, but you're a big school. You're a big school populist. I guess
That's what I am. That's fine. That's what I am. That's fine.
Let's go pigskin prognosis. Pigskin prognosis. I went 4-1 last
What's
week.
the pigskin prognosis?
Pigskin prognosis. We take the 5 best games of the NFL
you go.
weekend and we make the picks against the spread.
That's it.
I went 4-1 last week. That means I am 25-14 on the season. So I think I know a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I picked the Cardinals last week and they got a backdoor cover on that 4.5 points.
They
So
did.
went 4-1.
They still lost though.
So that's what.
I told you gotta believe in your team.
No. I'm gonna buy him in my.
I'm so happy.
And stay tuned because I'm gonna giving you guys my take it to the bank here.
You're gonna lose. You're just
No, but I do have an interesting take it to the bank. It's not about the Vikings losing, but it is about the Vikings game.
okay. I think you have a wrong game on here, but
What do I have
we'll
on
get there? Bills at Rams. I thought they're playing the Lions.
That's next week.
Oh, we're
Packers-
next week. Okay,
yeah.
yeah, okay. Sorry. All right, here we go.
Pigskin's right. Guy that wants to put Bama in.
Yeah, I just, you know what I mean? Whatever. We got the Falcons at the Vikings, and they had the Vikings at -5.5. What do you got? I gotta hear it. Just break it down.
All right. If they lose, I don't even care about the points. I'm taking the Vikings
Straight up.
straight up. It's going to be a high-scoring game.
Okay.
So Vikings got to win by a touchdown. I see this game being like 37-30. Take this to the bank. Kirk Cousins throws 3 or more touchdowns on Sunday.
He has to because he's about to lose his job and everything else.
If you have followed Kirk Cousins as closely as I have, you'll know that this is going to be a monster game for him.
And so
Not as far as importance, I'm talking about as stats-wise.
So he has to have. You said 3. Can't be 2 or 3. How many?
3 or more. So 3
Okay.
plus. So if he throws 3, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
If he throws 4 or 5, whatever.
Yeah.
But take that to the bank. Kirk Cousins will throw 3 or more touchdowns on Sunday. Number 1, he likes dome environments. Number 2, Kirk Cousins, the 500 quarterback, he will bounce back. And the reason he'll bounce back is because he had such a bad game against the Chargers, threw no touchdowns, 4 picks. He will always bounce back. If he has a really good game, he will come back to earth. If he has a really terrible game, he will literally just start throwing dimes all over the field. That is Kirk Cousins. Wow, 500 quarterback. We all know this. He's coming off a terrible game against the Chargers. He will throw 3 or more touchdowns.
Wow.
Plus, Stephon Gilmore, the cornerback for the Vikings, is out. Ivan Pace Jr., our middle linebacker, still on IR. Hope to have him back later on in the season. But the defense has got a little bit of holes there in that defense now. Flores, I think, will get to him a couple times, but watch for Kirk Cousins. I bet you he throws 350 and 3 on Sunday because
Does he throw a pick? Yes.
no,
He'll throw.
it's not in my ticket to the bank, but I don't think he does. I think he goes like 350 and 3. I think Darnold matches him. I think it's a high-scoring affair. I think the Vikings do win by 7, though. I don't know what the over/under is on the total points, but whatever it is, take the over.
-5.5.
Well, the
Oh yeah.
Total
Whatever
point.
that is. Yeah.
whatever it is, take the over. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game.
Wow.
But give me the Vikings. I'll eat the points.
Fair enough.
That's a loss. Perfect. I would love to see him come out, throw 3 picks, and get benched.
I
for
would
10.
laugh.
I would laugh hysterically, even though I love Kirk. He took the money and ran. Can't blame him with that contract, but I don't know. I think Kevin O'Connell and that coaching staff made him a little bit better than maybe what his talent would suggest.
Probably.
I say that with all due respect because I love Kirk, but I hate him at the same time.
It's a love-hate relationship for him.
Quick question before we get to the next game. Kirk Cousins comes out. You're a Vikings fan. Do you cheer or boo?
I boo the fuck. You're gone, dog. I'm booing you, dog. 100%. Every time he touches the ball, any 4 bucks, he's throwing a pass, I'm booing. Every time. I want Skull Nation showing up.
Oh, they
Freaking booing every time. Every time that wide receiver who catches the ball and puts his in, Every time, let him know that you're no longer part of our family.
If he would have, I would probably boo too. If I was in the stadium, I would boo.
Yeah.
And the reason I would boo is because, and like I said, I still love Kirk, but dude, you took the money and ran.
Yep.
You could have taken a team-friendly deal and played here, and you decided I want these world-class facilities, the U.S. Bank Stadium, everything top-notch. I mean, the Twin Cities Orthopedic Center, that whole place, it's got its own zip code. I mean, the Wilfs have spent billions of dollars building this up, world-class everything. If you look at the NFL players who they vote as like the best coaching and health and just overall facilities, Minnesota's won the last 2 seasons of that. So you had everything right there for you, Kirk, and you said, I need more money. I want more money. I'm going to Atlanta. You could have taken a team-friendly deal. They tried to bring you back, so it's not like we kicked you to the curb. You said, deuces, I need more money.
Right.
I think I'm worth more. And I can't blame them, but on the same token, you made that decision. You're now 6-6. I hope Andrew Van Ginkel freaking throttles him. Doesn't hurt him, but throttles him. And I would boo him because if he would have taken us to a Super Bowl or won more than one playoff game in 6 years and how much we spent for him, I would cheer for him. But dude, you didn't do enough here, man. No, sorry. And the reason you didn't do enough is because your contract required so much money and so much break the bank that we couldn't invest in defense and offensive line and things that we needed to make a true Super Bowl run.
Yep.
So, yeah, I would boo him.
I like that.
All I have to say, I would boo him.
I like it. Do with that.
I'd give him a quick boo, and then I would probably...
That's it? You just let it go for the rest of
just like a boo, and then I'd be done.
That was it?
I'd be done. Yeah, I can't.
I could.
I still have a soft spot for Kirk.
I don't.
Ultimately told me...
He's from our city. He's from the city that we're talking about. Yeah, he's from here. I boo the frick out of him. I boo the absolute frick out of him. I'd go live on Instagram and be booing with the crowd the whole time. Just let him have it.
If he went to a Super Bowl, not won a Super Bowl, if he would have taken us to a Super Bowl, I would cheer for him. I would. Nope. Sorry, dude. 1 playoff win, 6 years.
Sorry, you ain't
Happy
him.
trails.
You ain't him. That's
Happy
all you
trails.
need to know. Happy trails.
Anyway, next game.
Seahawks at Cardinals.
Ooh, that's a good one.
They got the Seahawks plus 2.5.
Cards are at home.
At home. Baby.
I'm gonna take the Cardinals on this one. DK Metcalf for the Seahawks been a little bit banged up.
Yep.
Cardinals defense created a lot of problems for the Vikings last week, and that defense, the way they got it going right now with the Cardinals,
It wasn't like that in the beginning of the year, though.
No,
They're
they're a little bit more. They don't have like a ton of playmakers, but their scheme and how they fly to the ball and just the confusion that they create reminds me a lot of Flores actually in Minnesota. Give me the Cardinals. They're at home. I think Kyler does enough here. DK Metcalf's been a little bit banged up. I think he plays, but it's going to be a
fun game.
Super important game on who is going to start taking over that NFC West.
Yeah,
in that division. But give me the Cards.
Okay, that'll be a fun game to watch. I think Seahawks are no joke either.
No joke.
Geno's man.
Geno's good.
This is crazy.
Good, but that Cardinals defense is
we'll find out.
Vastly underrated.
Yep, I would agree with that. We got my team, the Bills.
Okay.
At the Rams.
My MVP.
And the Rams plus 3.5.
Ooh, that's a tight spread.
Tight spread. I don't know why.
Josh Allen in a dome with only 3.5 to cover. I'll take the Bills again.
I like that. Good pick. Good pick.
I'll take the Bills. I mean, anything with the way the Bills are playing, any team that's less than 7 on points, I'll take the Bills.
Okay. All right, here we go. Now
the Rams are very hot and cold too. Like
they are.
Like they're a team that if they got into the playoffs, I would be a little bit scared. Like if you take the NFC West teams like the Cards, the Seahawks, the Rams, team that I would want to play the least would be the Rams.
Interesting.
Super Bowl winner, Sean McVay, Super Bowl coach, Matthew Stafford. Yeah, they've been a little bit banged up, but I would not want to play the Rams. I would much rather play the Seahawks or the Cardinals if I'm any team going on the road to play that division winner.
They got nothing to lose
once playoff time comes. Yeah, and they're just they know how to win. They know how to win at a big stage, big level. Moment won't be too big for them. So just keep an eye on the Rams, man. If they start winning and they get that division, the Eagles and Lions might have something on their hands there. So,
Wow. Okay. All right, we'll move on to the game of the week. We got the Chargers at the Chiefs, and they got Chiefs -3.5. It's be a fun one to watch.
I think the Chiefs win this game. I'll take the Chargers and the points though. Harbaugh, he's building something.
Yes.
That win last week, that defense is really coming alive. They're getting turnovers. They're finding ways to keep games close. Still not a believer in the Chiefs. They use some dark devil Satan worship to get the call.
I don't. It's no.
I've given up. So Chiefs win, but Chargers cover. I'll take Mr. Herbert.
Okay. I want the Chargers. I think I'm going to pick the Chargers to win that one. Chiefs just need to lose another one. I just
Should
think
have lost. They should have lost on Black Friday.
Yeah, they need to lose. I'd like to see.
I mean,
take down a
that those type of calls when the ref comes in and signals false start, and then they huddle together and call a legal shift to give Kansas City the ball. That's some dank, bad stuff. That makes you not want to. That makes you not want to tune into the game.
I would agree.
Chiefs are another one. They're on the verge of being as disgusting as Alabama.
Yeah.
Where if they're in they'll be in the playoffs.
Right.
But their games I won't watch until they're out of the playoffs. Just
okay.
disgusting.
It's
just
it is
gross.
bad.
Anyway, they're good. They're good. They're still a good team. They're just not 12-1 good.
No, definitely not. All right, last but certainly not least, the Bengals at the Cowboys, and looking at Bengals -5.5.
Man, with those spreads, they believe in Joe Burrow, man.
I know
They were favorites last week.
losing.
They were favorites last week against the Steelers, and they get that defense is so atrocious.
Yep.
That defense is so atrocious. I think Burrow still plays at a high level, and I think the defense does just enough. Give me the Bengals. I'll eat the points. I think Burrow's the type of player that he just doesn't have like that quit gene where he won't quit.
Yeah.
He'll keep flinging it. And I think the defense just has to not be a complete sieve for a couple drives, and
Right.
the Bengals will win because Burrow and Chase, they're playing at an all-time high level, and I think the defense, after what Jamar Chase said last week, coming out and saying, dude, I don't know, they basically don't even know what to do anymore.
Right.
Putting up 35 to 40 points a game, and your defense can't stop anybody.
Right.
And I think the defenses of the Bengals is going to take that to heart. No Dak. I think they're gonna do enough to stall the Cowboys. I think it'll be a good game. Two really average or below average teams going at each other record wise, but it's a game the Bengals have to have. I mean, they have to run the table.
Yeah, they can't
have
lose another
chance.
Right.
Cowboys, I think they know their season's done. So I think it'll be a good game. I think the Bengals will win. I'll eat the points, eat the 5.5. Take Cincy.
That's fair. Good call. Great pitch.
Thank you, Lee.
Great pitch.
That's your Lee Corso
That's it.
impersonation.
That's it.
Final thoughts as we get ready to review our cigars.
Let's just remember, my take it to the bank. Penn State beats Oregon.
My take it to the bank. Kirk Cousins on Sunday throws 3 or more touchdowns against the Vikings.
Okay. And
How's your cigar?
it was good. It was a great cigar. I give it a
Finished
5
already?
out of 5 bands. Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah.
5 out of 5
Yeah,
bands.
you had a straight cut, so
Yeah. I
Yeah.
smoked it. I know it was
5 out of 5?
I give it a 5 out of 5.
5
Phenomenal
out of
cigar.
5? No point, nothing?
Nope. I'm
Straight
just gonna
point?
give it a straight 5. It's a great cigar. You see my father, the judge, sitting around in a humidor at a lounge, or you going through the aficionado magazine.
How much
whatever.
are they usually? 15?
15. Yeah, it's probably your $15 range.
It's a good change. It's a good
It is.
change up.
It was a great cigar. Probably the best one I've had since we doing our podcast. So really good cigar. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot more to say, but definitely a my father, the judge, must buy. Yeah, if you can get a couple, just put them in your humidor. They're always just a good cigar to have.
Yep.
Just not one you want to waste. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's one that you like.
But if you don't feel guilty smoking it,
Right.
like, you know when you get like a 26 or an Opus X or something like that's like $30 a stick, it's like is the occasion good enough
Right.
to smoke
For sure.
And
'Cause I'm not rich enough to
right.
think about, "Oh, it's not a big deal. I'm gonna just smoke this Opus X, or I'm gonna smoke this Padron 1926." Like, no, like, that's half my paycheck. I gotta really enjoy it, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So,
Yep.
yeah, I'm totally there.
So yeah, it's having smoked that cigar before, totally agree with that rating. Padron 1964, I'm getting down to the last little bit. Usually when you do cigars too, you're supposed to do like the first half, second half, and last.
Yep,
It's hard because we don't know how long the podcast is going. We don't know how long we're gonna smoke the cigars. So that's why we just light them, see how they are on first light,
mhm.
and then just review them at the end of the show. And we're getting down to the last little bit of the show here. This 1964, they're about $18 to $20 a stick. A little bit of a step down from the 1926. Got all the flavor there, just not as smooth as the 1926, but
Mhm.
still really good. I give it 4 out of 5.
Mm.
Pick it up. It's really good. If I could give it a point, I would do 4.5.
Okay, good.
4.5 out of 5. If that makes you feel better.
4.5 bands out of
4.5 bands out of 5. I mean, if you see it, definitely pick it up. Um, Good quality cigar. Yes, they stepped down from the 1926, but not as much as you would think.
Mhm.
And definitely worth it.
There you go. You've heard it here, folks. You heard it first here, folks.
Well, I think that's gonna do it for us.
That's it. It's the way the cookie crumbles around here.
The way the cookie crumbles. All right. Well, we hope you guys have a great weekend in watching sports, and make sure you get into your humidor today and go and watch some sports.
And light up.